Taurus, this is your look at the astrology of January 2021. My name is Katie Sweetman. I'm an astrologer and psychic medium here in Brooklyn, New York, and I write under the name Empowering Astrology. You can follow me at empoweringastrology.com. So let's look at your month for January 2021. The thing about looking at monthly astrology is that we can't look at a month as part of this compartmentalized story. It's actually part of a bigger story. And as you go into the new year, it's a time when a new story is opening, but in a way, it's not a new story. It's something that's been happening behind the scenes or in front of the scenes since 2018. Do go back and think about it. If you don't know this already, Uranus, the planet Uranus, has been in Taurus since March of 2019. Now, it did dip into Taurus in May of 2018 until November of 2018. That was like your preview. But I've been saying this over and over again, so I'm going to say it again so you don't forget. Taurus, you are in a time of profound reinvention. And your sign, God love you, is the sign that doesn't in general, want to make a lot of big changes because your instinct is to preserve. Your instinct is to keep things the same, which is a wonderful instinct to, create life and to create stability. But the planet that's in your sign until 2025, 2026 is anything but stable. That planet is Uranus. This planet is trying to, believe it or not, save you from you. It's trying to get you out of these old patterns. It's trying to get you opening up to something new and going in a new way. It's like this kind of breath of fresh air or a strike of lightning or an earthquake. But I know Taurus, it's a little unsettling if you are an early Taurus, meaning that you were born on the early side of Taurus in April. You already know this already. You've already seen possibly a lot of the big changes begin. That said, this month, it's Capricorn season. The sun is in the sign for you. So you're thinking I'm not a Capricorn. Capricorn is your sign of faith and truth and meaning and trying to make sense of the world. It's higher education, it's foreign travel, it's seeing the world. And you were doing a lot of deep work in that part of your life when Saturn was there in 2020. Saturn isn't there anymore. You had to answer a lot of big existential questions at the end of 2020 or even, throughout different points in 2020. What do I believe in? What are my convictions? And so even though Saturn has moved on to Aquarius, and we'll talk about that in a moment because it's a big deal for you, there's sort of like this kind of echo. The story is still kind of playing out. So this Capricorn season might bring up some familiar stories around faith and truth and meaning. That said, Saturn has moved to, or maybe I should do it like this for you. Saturn has moved into Aquarius, and Aquarius is your sign of career. Taurus, you are in a major 2-year chapter of trying to figure out a very simple question. What do you want to be when you grow up? Doesn't matter if you are 25, 85. Saturn right now is trying to get you to get very clear about your place in the world. And if you know exactly what that is, fantastic. Then the next 2 years are about milestones, about stepping up, about your new places, new positions, new titles, promotions. But if you're not quite in alignment with where you need to go, it might kind of create some changes and some friction. That said, there's this push-pull that's going to be happening in 2021 for you, Taurus, that really starts to come to a head in January. And I'm going to say this to every sign, and I'm just kind of being transparent. The astrology of January 2021 is not easy. It's creating a lot of friction. Something new wants to come in, but then there's the old. The old wants to preserve. It wants to keep things the same. It wants to sort of build something, but then at the same time, things feel a little chaotic. So you are changing. I told you, you're in the midst of a 5 to 7 year, well, at this point 5, but in total 7-year story of reinvention. So as you change, your career has to change. Your direction has to change. The title after your name has to change. So you're going to see this push and pull between you and this kind of greater thing in the world, your place in the world, throughout different points in 2021. That said, we'll put that to the side for a moment. Venus, which is your ruling planet, is in Capricorn all month long. So again, there's that sign again, Capricorn. You're needing to look towards the world. Travel, and I realize we can't really travel right now, but how do you look outward in other ways? This part of you that needs to sort of make sense of everything. And then there's a lot of things that are, of course, going on right now that are crazy. Also, I think I said January 8th is when Venus goes into Capricorn. A few days before, on the 6th of January, Mars goes into Taurus. There's your sign. So Mars sort of gets out of this sort of limbo place that it's been in your chart. So you might feel like you suddenly got a lot of initiative and a lot of drive and a lot of energy. It's sort of maybe the things that you have not been able to do or say. Suddenly you've got all this drive to do so. So things are going to start moving forward. It's possible that things could move fast, except you have this square happening between Mars and Saturn. So Mars will square Saturn on January 13th. You're thinking, what's a square? Mars square Saturn is brakes. It's like you want to fly out of the gate right now with something, but there's, it's like you can't quite get out of first or second gear. There is some good side to that because, I think with Uranus and Taurus, I think with Mars meeting up with Uranus on January 20th, there's a part of you that just wants to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but maybe Saturn is trying to be sensible, trying to slow you down. Like maybe we shouldn't do that. So I would really kind of see where this tension is happening in January, the part of you that just wants to completely, just kind of flip everything over and do things new. And the part of you that is like, wait, we need a plan. Make sure this aligns with something bigger. We need to look towards the future. We need to think of something bigger. So there's sort of this, push-pull that's happening for you in January. Speaking of Uranus, on the 14th of January, Uranus turns direct at 6 degrees of Taurus. If you were born, I don't know the date, but it's like an early Taurus, it's like the early Taurus people are really feeling this the most. These would be people that are born, towards the end of April, maybe around May 1st. So this huge need to make some big changes. And Uranus, again, really wants you to reinvent yourself. Now, the thing that I say to my clients is that Uranus doesn't want you to be someone you're not. Uranus just wants you to be you. And it's going to start to take away the things, or it's going to start to make you feel uncomfortable in places where you have relied on things or people or situations that make you not you. So this, it could even be substance. It could even be like food. It could be things that, addictions that you rely on that kind of take you away from yourself. So this could be a lot of different things, of course. But this is so much about the self and rebirthing the self and rebirthing identity and really discovering who you truly are. So like I said, there's a part of you that just wants to kind of be impulsive a little bit in January, but you got Saturn sort of pumping the brakes a bit. Do keep in mind that Mars is your relationship planet. It's in a little bit of a tight spot this month. So if you are finding that your interactions with people are a little testy, maybe your own personal relationship, if you're in a romantic partnership, that's a little testy as well. Just something to keep in mind. You're having to maybe look at a relationship in a way that you've never looked at before. And maybe you're thinking about making some changes or ending things or changing the way you do things in a partnership. But you've got that back and forth happening between Uranus and Taurus this month. That said, I was saying earlier that January, in a way, kind of puts an echo back to some of the things you've been working on in 2018, 2019, 2020, this idea of faith and truth and meaning. There is a new moon in Capricorn on January 13th. This is a bit of an intense new moon because it exactly conjoins Pluto. So there is some bigger story that's been going on since 2008 about really deconstructing the way that you see the world, deconstructing old beliefs, deconstructing your own kind of consciousness and sort of the limitations in which you see things. And so Pluto is sort of doing its thing again in January. So if you sort of see a familiar thread or a familiar story happening, now you know why. That said, when the sun goes into Aquarius, I think that's like around the 20th or 21st, sorry, that's when the sun starts to go into the part of your chart that talks about career. So do keep in mind that especially towards the latter part of this month, all eyes in your chart are on your professional life. So there's something that major milestones that are happening in your professional life, new beginnings, new positions, new directions, changes in your work. So when the sun goes into Aquarius, it's going to meet up with Saturn on the 23rd of January. And then when it does that, it's also going to start to activate this energy with Uranus. So things might get a little wobbly in your professional life, or even in a relationship, or in your home life going into the end of January. And then we have a full moon in Leo on the 28th of January. So this full moon activates the part of your chart that talks about home and family and where you live. So there could be a change in your living situation. There could be a move, a need to sort of decide something about your living situation, or having to deal with something with your family. But that said, January is a month where it is very much a clash. I know that's a strong word to use, but very much a clash between the old and the new. So you might be seeing that clash happening in career, and also your living situation. It's a big month, Taurus. Like I said, part of a bigger story. Again, my name is Katie Sweetman. I'm with Empowering Astrology. You can follow me on empoweringastrology.com. I do a weekly live look at the astrology on Facebook Live. Watch the replay on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram, IGTV as well. And till then, bye.